Hey everyone, my name's Brittany. I started studying the Bible in April of 2017, and when I first started, I knew nothing about it. It's a lot of information, it was overwhelming, sometimes even stressful. So I wanted to start a Bible for Beginners Bible study. This week we're going to go over 1st and 2nd Chronicles. It's a very quick, easy lesson. So the first 9 chapters of 1st Chronicles are all genealogy, from Adam all the way through the kings, and then it goes back to retell the history of Saul and David. So just like we learned about in Kings. So yes, it is a retelling of Kings, but don't let that confuse you and don't let it stop you from reading it. It is a lot different. Chronicles concentrates on Judah instead of Judah and Israel, because it is sorry, I'm dropping my phone here. So Judah, it concentrates on Judah instead, Judah and Israel, and it shows the line of David and Jesus, and all the way from Adam. So we get more information about the ruler David. It shows more how he helped Solomon to get the temple started, and the temple for the Lord, and who was to do what and why. Like the Levites were the priest, because Aaron, it was from Aaron and his descendants, so his family line was the priests, and he like called out what family line should be musicians and stuff like that, gatekeepers, other officials. You can find that all in chapter 26. And so we know that David wanted to build a temple for the Lord, but God said that it wasn't his duty. It was actually Solomon's duty, but he did actually help him plan it out, which we don't see in the Kings. And then we get to Chronicles 2, or 2nd Chronicles, and it begins with Solomon's reign. So it's still retelling Kings, but it begins with Solomon's reign and goes on to the exile. So while Chronicles is similar to the Kings, the books of Kings, there are differences in the way that they're written. It's generally accepted, but not 100% positive, that the prophet Jeremiah wrote Kings and the priest Ezra wrote Chronicles. So, and Chronicles was written after Kings was written. So because it's got different authors, it's gonna focus more on certain things. The Kings is written by prophet Jeremiah, so it's written from a prophet's point of view. It concentrates more on the prophets. You know, you tend to gravitate towards your own people, kind of thing. And the warnings about sins from God, whereas Chronicles focuses on the priest and the purification of God's temple. It's a little more positive, and it focuses more on the positive aspects of the Kings. And you can tell that how they trust in God more, and they have more hope for the future than they did in Kings. So it is completely retelling. Don't let it confuse you. It's just the same story, a different point of view, which I think is pretty awesome. But it is confusing if you don't know that. So next week we will talk more about Ezra, who wrote Chronicles. And we will start the book of Ezra. And it begins after Judah has been exiled into Babylon for about 50-ish years. So it keeps going in order, learning and building, and I hope you guys can get through Chronicles. I know the first 9 chapters, to me, it's just kind of like, blah, because I don't do well with genealogy and lists and people's names. But if you can get through it, there's a lot of information. You can kind of build a better story around this time period, because this time period was extremely important. They really learned, well, we're learning from them, I guess, about their mistakes and how every time they kept falling away from God, and he would give them another king and so forth and so on. But it's a lot of great information. A lot of people don't read it because it's confusing and because it's just retelling of a story they already knew, but it's great information. I can't wait to see you guys next week. Good week. Have a good week. God bless.